Did anyone catch Doctor Who last Saturday?
Meep, meep! Oh my god.
I was considering making a Doctor Who alien for this 60th year anniversary because I'm a huge Doctor Who fan, but I thought it's Christmas time and I was going to focus on Christmassy things, and I have a project which I'm in the middle of, Christmas related, but the Meep. Was there ever an alien that was more crochetable than the Meep? And it just so happens to come out just as I'm starting my YouTube channel. So we're doing it. Right, so I have never crocheted an animal type thing from scratch without pattern, but I think the Meep is probably a pretty good one to start off with because he's fluffy, so hopefully the fluff will hide any rubbishness. So essentially what I'm going to do, I went to Poundland and I got some white yarn, £1 each, not bad. I had this pink for the ears. I'll put a picture of a Meep up here in case you have no idea what I'm talking about. And as you can see on his nose, he has a little bit of grey. Oh, I did forget one thing. I have some safety eyes which I bought when I was making a Baby Yoda as a Christmas present for my brother. And I think they'll be good for this project, but they're just black and the Meep's clearly got very intense yellow eyes. Let me show you what I got. I got these two nail polishes and I'm thinking, let's paint the eyes. I think we should do that first so they have time to dry. I have no plan here. Masking tape. Is masking tape a good idea? Okay, while that's drying, let's start crocheting. Let's just go for it. I really need a reference picture, so I'm going to go find my tablet. So like usual, I'm going to use my 3.5mm crochet hook. Looking at the pin, we've got a small head and a really big body, and then we've got 2 legs and 2 tiny arms. So what I'm going to do is start with this big body and then crochet the head, and then we're going to do the arms separately, sew them on, do the legs separately, sew them on, ears and nose and muzzle all separate and sew them on. And most importantly, I think I'm going to crochet through the back loop for the whole thing so that I can pull hair through the front loops and brush it all out. So it's going to be super fluffy. Oh, I'm very excited. Let's do it. Hello, it's the next day. This is what I've achieved so far. So basically what I've done is a tube and decrease it slightly towards the top. The Meep is quite amorphous with all his fluff, so I think this is going to be quite a simple pattern. I'm just going to decrease a little bit more for the neck and then make the head, and we'll go on from there. Okay, I finished the body of my Meep, and I know it looks like a Baymax or a snowman now, but let's trust the process and hopefully it will work out in the end. Okay, I think the next step will be to make the arms and the legs. Let's do it. It took me a little moment, but I figured out how I want to do the fingers on the Meep. But it's slightly fiddly, so I just thought I would show you how I'm doing it up close. Okay, so as you can see, I've put 3 fingers on this arm. So I have my chain 6 here, and I've got a tapestry needle on one end. This is the cast off end. So we made a slip stitch and crocheted our 6 chain stitches, and then we put our needle on this end, so the opposite end to the slip stitch end. We've pulled our last chain very tight, so it's almost gone. So if we turn the work around, we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 back bars. Here's a back bar, here's a back bar, here's a back bar, here's a back bar, and here's a back bar. What we're going to do is we're going to take our needle and go into the first back bar, twist our work, go through the second back bar the opposite way, the third back bar the opposite way, the fourth back bar, and continue for however many back bars you have for your finger. So that's all 5. And then we're just going to pull our needle through, hopefully easily. Yes. You don't really want to take your needle off there, but mine just came off. So then we have this knobbly little finger. Make sure this string isn't scrunching up your chain like that. You want to pull at this end like this to get a nice straight finger. Now we are going to poke our finger into the arm. Here's good. And come up somewhere. Doesn't really matter where. Anywhere will do. This is all going to be covered in fur, so we won't see it. But if you want, you can do it at the back, the part of the work that will be up against the body, so you won't see it anyway. Now we're going to thread the slip stitch end onto our needle, and we're going to poke into the same hole we did the cast off end, roughly. But when we come out, we don't want to come out of the same hole. We want to come a little bit forwards, a little bit to the side, 1 stitch away somewhere. And struggle to pull your needle through. There you go. So make sure it's not bunching up anywhere. Oop, and make sure it's come all the way through. There you go. And now we're just going to tie a knot in the 2 tail ends. So be very gentle with your first knot so as not to scrunch up the finger. And we'll do a second knot, again being relatively careful so as not to scrunch up the finger. And then finally a third knot. This one we can pull quite tightly. Put each tail end onto the needle and thread it into the body. If you ever have a really short tail end like I have here, put the needle into the piece of work first, like this, and then poke the thread into the eye, and then pull. There you go, that one's disappeared. And that is how I am attaching all my fingers. It is now the next morning because I got too tired last night, but this is the Meep. We've got his gnarly little fingers on there, and I've made some similar gnarly little toes. I've just done it in a white disc, and we're going to sew white disc to the bottom after the fact. In fact, speaking of facts, I'm going to sew these body parts on now because these pins really aren't keeping them together very well. And then we will come back and do the face. Okay, the Meep. I've sewn on the ears. The ears do look rather large, but I'm thinking when I put all the fluff on it, they won't look as big by comparison. I've sewn on a little muzzle and an eyebrow ridge and a nose ridge. I don't know how much difference that's going to make, but I thought I'd give a bit of face shaping to try and make it as Meep-like as possible. Okay, before we fluffify him, let's look at the eyes. Okay, so here are our eyes. That's kind of hard to say. Here are our eyes that we painted. It was probably about 3 days ago now because this Meep's taking me a bit longer than I was expecting. So if you can see, I've actually could have done a third coat to make a more solid colour, but I thought I would just leave it with 2 coats and have a little bit more of a mottled effect. I have a bamboo skewer here and I'm going to try and scratch off some of the paint to make little lines to try and imitate the ligaments that allow the iris to open and close. Okay, plan B. We're going to do a bit of dry brushing. It's finally time to fluffify this fella. I anticipate this is going to take bloody ages, but we're going to give it our best shot. So, here's the plan. Full of plans this video. Some of them have turned out well, others not so much. I'm going to just wrap the yarn around my fingers like this. Oh, my very blunt scissors, which don't want to cut anything. Okay, 1 second. I know you can't see this, but... Okay, and now we've got a bunch of little strings. I think we're going to skip the bottom row, so we're going to start from here. The second row of front loops. Can you see that? I'm going through one of these, and I'm just going to hook my little string through, and then pull these 2 through here. Oh, it's very hard to do at this angle. Kind of like a slip stitch. I'm just doing it over here because I can't do it while holding it up to the camera. Ta-da! So now we just have to do a million billion of these. That took a very long time. He's completely fluffified now. If you do decide to make this, there is a pattern available, but I just want to give you a few tips about how to fluffify the face. So where we added the muzzle and the eyebrow ridge, the loops are kind of obscure, so I was kind of just jamming my hook in and just trying to get as much fluff in there as possible. I recommend that. For the muzzle, I went round kind of like a U shape, so the bottom U, and each hair was pointing out like that, away from the centre of the circle. And then for the top part of the muzzle, I was kind of doing the opposite, so I was kind of going downwards, like that, so towards the centre of the circle. And yeah, for the crown of the head also, I felt it was a bit sparse, so I was kind of just added some extra hairs just here and there, kind of in, not the front loops, but the gaps between stitches. Another thing I wanted to mention if you do want to make this pattern is that I will include some instructions on how to make the feet, but you won't ever be able to see them, so I wouldn't bother if I were you. Let's get to the fun part. Okay, so I went to Pets at Home and bought this brush. It was £3. It's a wire grooming brush, just the most basic one they had. We are just going to fluff this guy up by running this brush across him. I'm a little bit nervous because I haven't done a trial or a sample piece. I'm just going to go straight for it. But hopefully this all becomes a lovely fluffy fluff. It's the next day. I wanted to get this Meep finished yesterday, but I decided to go to karaoke, which was fun, but perhaps regrettable, as I'm thinking that I might not have enough time left now to also write the pattern before I publish this video. I'm gonna give it my best shot, but if there's no pattern scrolling here in this video, it means that I didn't manage to write it before I publish this video. But it will be out in, let's say, 24 hours of this video going live. I promise. Also, I'm standing up because I made this lovely elf Christmas tree topper, and you can never see it. It's never in frame when I'm sitting down. That being said, I'm now going to sit down. It was lovely seeing that elf, wasn't it? Okay, the Meep. Here's what stage we're at. It's all fluffed up. I was having a look at the reference images online and looking at which way the hair goes around the face. So for the whole body, it's just going down, but for the face, it kind of goes out from the eyes, which I have combed my Meep to do, but as you can see, there's now a bald spot in his brow. So what I'm gonna do is put some extra hairs there, comb them out, and then I've got my mum's sewing scissors, and we're gonna give him a haircut and try and make him look like the reference pictures. Let's do it. Okay, I think if we just embroider on a bit of a nose and a mouth, add the eyes, we'll be done.
Oh my god.
It's kind of ridiculous. I don't know, he's really soft and quite lovable. If I were to do this again, there are some things I might change, but I don't know. The Meep. My intro's hello knitters and hookers, and I have yet to knit anything on this channel, but don't fret. Next week I promise there'll be knitting. So if you like how my Meep turned out and you liked watching me crochet the Meep, why not consider subscribing? And what Doctor Who alien should I crochet next? Leave a comment. That's about it for this video. Let's hope that when Doctor Who comes out tomorrow there aren't any super crochetable aliens on it, because this took ages and I don't want to have to go through it again for a little while. Okay, see you next time. Bye!